I am in the studio with the Kingston Police Chief, Brian Holmes. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me in the great community of Marshfield. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. It is a great community here at our world headquarters of WATD right in Marshfield. Well, I invited you to come on today because what we're doing with a number of the area towns, a number of the towns are asking for overrides in different, some are operational, some may be departmental. Your situation's a little unique. In Kingston, we had a reporter recently at a movie with a select board, and you made a presentation about some money that you were asking for your department. And it doesn't seem like you're making headway in the right direction. First, how much was it, and what did the board say?
So 2 weeks ago, I asked the board to consider an override for $500,000, and that would have given us one sergeant and two patrol officers. The sergeant will be used to create a family services unit. The two patrol officers would be additional staff for the midnight to 8 and the 4 to 12 shift, the busiest shifts. There was a vote 2 to 1, 2 yes, 2 no, 1 abstention. So effectively, an override is off the table, at least for now. I will be meeting again with them Tuesday, tomorrow night, to continue the conversation about what's the plan for growth going forward.
Okay, just to play devil's advocate here for a minute, if the board said no, do you think they would reconsider letting the people of Kingston vote on this like they've done with other towns when they've had override questions?
Well, that's a great question. It brings up the point that not only did I ask for an override, I actually asked the board to allow the town meeting to decide whether or not it was within their own appetite to have an override of $500,000.
Okay, so maybe they will. So there is a chance that they could reconsider that. Now, of course, everybody who lives in Kingston probably wants to know, how much is that going to cost me? And some of the other overrides we've heard about are way in the millions. This is $500,000. What does that mean to the typical property owner in the town of Kingston?
The average household value is about $633,000, and this would translate into $25 a quarter or $100 a year for the average taxpayer if this override were to go forward and would be approved.
Now, one of the things that you talked about was establishing a family services unit. Is this similar to where other departments have, say, a social worker to go out in a number of calls that, from what we've seen, can really make a difference?
Indeed it is. I actually have a grant into the Department of Mental Health. They would fully fund the position if we're approved for the grant, but right now the governor has a lot of these grant opportunities on hold. It's a diversion program. It's really designed to keep people suffering from substance abuse and mental health disorders out of the system, so it's a diversion grant. We're waiting to hear back about whether or not the governor's going to put that funding back on the table and whether or not we would receive those funds for a clinician.
What do you find is the most effective thing that you can do to keep Kingston safe, in your opinion?
My job is to be a chief of police. I'm the administrator of the department, and I've been hired as a change agent. So my priority is to get bodies on the street, patrol officers on the street. We're understaffed. The department's funding has grown a little bit over the last year with the support of the selectmen. But my goal is to get bodies on the street. It's going to make the town safer, and that's why I'm asking for the override.
I know a lot of the departments we talk to, even though populations have grown, incidents you respond to have grown, the numbers of officers has not grown. What do the numbers look like in Kingston?
We're a department of 26 sworn. That's what we're funded for. We're down two. 2 of them are going to the academy coming up. The department's population has swollen approximately 33% since 1997, and there hasn't been an account of any kind of growth for the police department since that time. There was one grant through the U.S. Department of Justice that funded a position, but when the grant expired, the position was attritioned out.
So you've got it. Now, and you said you were hired as a change agent. When they hired you, did they say specifically what some of the changes were they would hope you would make?
We had public discussions about, bringing the department up. Professional development was a big area. Doing an analysis of what the needs are for the department was part of it. Looking at the staff, and I said from the get-go, this department is underfunded and understaffed. It's cut to the bone.
When you say cut to the bone, do you think you're looking for 2 patrol officers and 1 sergeant? That doesn't seem like a lot. What difference would that make?
So the difference is it's going to be a couple extra bodies on the nighttime shifts, but it's the first step towards the long-term growth plan. Mm-hmm. We have to start somewhere, and if we're not doing anything now, I don't know when and how the process begins for long-term growth. I'm working in a place that's a small community, and I have to do things on par with what the town is okay with. Mm-hmm. And I'll go slower if I need to, but $500,000 for 1 sergeant and 2 patrol officers is about as slow as I can go.
And I know that there's a timeline. I heard some of the audio from that meeting talking about it's not just hiring somebody, it's the whole process that you go through. So if you don't do it now, you're going to have an even bigger, I guess, backlog later. How does that work? What's the timeline for getting somebody on board?
A patrol officer, it takes anywhere from 18 to 24 months from the time we actually get a certification list from civil service to doing a background check, to doing an interview, a 6-month police academy, anywhere from 2 to 3 months on a field training period, and the employee is a probationary employee for a total of 1 year. They can actually be removed without a hearing if there's any issues with the employee. That's built into the system. So 18 to 24 months if I was to get a green light today. If the town doesn't fund anything until next fiscal year, we're looking at 30 plus months before we see a patrol officer on the street for new positions.
Now, if people are listening and they're in Kingston, a couple of takeaways. To the average property owner, it would be roughly $25 a quarter.
Yes.
To be able to upgrade the department like that. Tell me 3 takeaways about why there should be support for this for Kingston Police.
What it gives the town more than anything is it gives the town stability through the department. It makes it a safer community, and it's a step towards long-term succession. When I leave, ideally in 6 years or so, I want to be able to know that we have built an adequate staffing for the department, because it's not for the department, it's for the town, it's for the taxpayers. That's what I've been brought here for, and that's what I really want to give the town.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to add?
I'd just like to give a shout out to my friend Chief Phil Hollywood Tavares, because I'm in his community right now, and thank you for having me.
We love Phil Tavares. Thank you very much again. That's Kingston Police Chief Brian Holmes.